Story number 1. I can enter people's dreams. Last night, I walked into a nightmare I can't escape. I've always known I was different. Ever since I was a kid, I could do things others couldn't. I could step into people's dreams, walk through their subconscious like it was my own backyard. For years, I thought it was normal. I thought everyone could do it. It wasn't until I was older that I realized just how unique and dangerous my ability was. I'm writing this now because I need help. I've seen something I can't unsee, learned something I was never meant to know, and now I'm afraid for my life. It all started 3 months ago when I moved to a new city for work. I'm a sleep therapist. Ironic, I know. I use my ability to help people with sleep disorders, stepping into their dreams to guide them through nightmares or help them process trauma. It's not exactly something I can put on my business card, but word of mouth in certain circles keeps me busy. My new neighbor, Ethan, caught my eye immediately. Tall, dark, and handsome. Cliché, I know, but true. He was friendly, always quick with a smile or a wave. We started talking, and one thing led to another. Before I knew it, we were dating. Everything was perfect. Ethan was kind, attentive, successful. He ran his own tech company, something to do with dream analysis software. The irony wasn't lost on me. For the first time in my life, I felt like I could be myself around someone. But there was one thing I held back. I didn't tell Ethan about my ability. I've learned the hard way that it's not something most people can handle. So I kept it to myself, helping my clients in secret and living a normal life with Ethan. That all changed the night of the thunderstorm. Ethan had fallen asleep on the couch while we were watching a movie. I was about to wake him when a massive clap of thunder shook the house. Ethan jolted but didn't wake. Instead, he started muttering in his sleep, his face contorted in what looked like fear. Without thinking, I reached out and touched his forehead. In an instant, I was pulled into his dream. I've been in hundreds, maybe thousands of dreams over the years. But I've never seen anything like what I saw in Ethan's mind that night. I found myself in a long, dark corridor. The walls were made of screens, each one showing a different scene. As I walked, I realized they were memories, Ethan's memories. But something was off. The people in the memories, they seemed empty, like shells of themselves. At the end of the corridor was a door. I could hear muffled screams coming from behind it. Every instinct told me to turn back, to get out of the dream. But I couldn't. I had to know. I opened the door. The room beyond was filled with people. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. They were floating, suspended in some kind of greenish liquid. Tubes ran from their bodies to a massive machine in the center of the room. And there, operating the machine, was Ethan. But it wasn't the Ethan I knew. This Ethan's eyes were completely black, his smile cruel and cold. He turned to me, and I felt my blood freeze. "Welcome," he said, his voice echoing unnaturally. "I've been waiting for you." I tried to wake up, to pull myself out of the dream, but I couldn't. Something was holding me there. "You're probably wondering what this is," Ethan continued, gesturing to the people floating around us. "It's quite simple, really. These are minds, consciousnesses, and well, I suppose you could call me a collector." He walked towards me, his movements fluid and predatory. You see, I've always known there was more to the world than what most people see, more to the mind, and I've made it my life's work to understand it, to harness it. He reached out and touched one of the floating bodies. The person twitched, and a stream of images flowed from them into the machine. Every mind is a universe of experiences, memories, emotions. And with the right technology, all of that can be extracted, used, consumed. I felt sick. "You're stealing people's minds?" They're souls? Ethan laughed. Souls? How quaint. No, I'm simply recycling, taking what would otherwise go to waste and putting it to use. Do you have any idea how powerful the human mind is? The energy it contains? With enough minds, you could power cities, reshape reality itself. I wanted to run, to scream, to fight, but I was paralyzed, trapped in the dream logic of this nightmare realm. Ethan stepped closer to me, his black eyes boring into mine. But you're different, aren't you? You can enter dreams at will. Do you have any idea how rare that is? How valuable? He reached out to touch me, and I felt a jolt of pure terror. I'm going to enjoy adding you to my collection. Just as his hand was about to make contact, another clap of thunder shook the world. The dream shattered around us, and I woke up gasping for air. Ethan was still asleep on the couch, peaceful as ever. I scrambled away from him, my heart pounding. Had it all been just a dream? A product of my own imagination? But deep down, I knew it wasn't. The terror was too real, the details too vivid. Somehow I had seen something I wasn't supposed to see, and now I was in danger. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I sat in the corner of my room, jumping at every sound, terrified that if I closed my eyes, I'd be pulled back into that nightmare. When morning came, I made an excuse to leave early. I couldn't face Ethan, couldn't look into his eyes without seeing that cruel, black-eyed version of him from the dream. I spent the day in a daze, trying to make sense of what I'd seen. Was Ethan really some kind of mind stealer? Or was I losing my grip on reality? Had my ability finally driven me over the edge into madness? I decided to do some digging. I looked into Ethan's company, trying to find out more about this dream analysis software he was developing. What I found chilled me to the bone. The company was real enough, but its purpose was vague. Lots of talk about harnessing the power of the subconscious and revolutionizing dream technology. But buried in the technical jargon were hints of something darker, references to mind extraction and consciousness transfer. It couldn't be real. It had to be some kind of elaborate hoax or a misunderstanding. But the more I looked, the more convinced I became that what I'd seen in Ethan's dream wasn't just a nightmare. It was real. I was so caught up in my research that I didn't notice the sun setting. It wasn't until my phone buzzed with a text from Ethan that I realized how late it had gotten. "Hey babe, you coming over tonight? Miss you." I stared at the message, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. What should I do? Confront him? Run? Pretend everything was normal? In the end, fear won out. I texted back that I wasn't feeling well and was going to turn in early. His response was quick and concerned, asking if I needed anything. It was so normal, so caring, that for a moment I doubted everything I'd seen and learned. But then I remembered those black eyes, that cruel smile, the people floating in tanks, their minds being drained away. I couldn't take the risk. I turned off my phone and tried to settle in for the night, but sleep wouldn't come. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that room full of stolen minds, and worse, I felt like something was waiting for me in the darkness of sleep. Something hungry. I must have dozed off eventually, because the next thing I knew, I was back in that corridor of screens. But this time it was different. The memories playing out on the screens were mine. My childhood, my first kiss, the day I discovered my ability, all laid bare, exposed. And at the end of the corridor, Ethan was waiting. "Did you really think you could hide from me?" he asked, his voice echoing strangely. "I've been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." I tried to wake up, to pull myself out of the dream, but I couldn't. Ethan's will was too strong, his control of this dream space too complete. "Your power is extraordinary," he continued, walking towards me. The ability to move between minds at will. Do you have any idea what I could do with that power? The minds I could reach, the energy I could harvest? I backed away, but the corridor seemed to stretch on forever behind me. There was nowhere to run. "Why are you doing this?" I managed to ask. "Why steal people's minds?" Ethan's laugh was cold and hollow. "Why does anyone do anything? For power, for knowledge, for the sheer joy of it. The human mind is the last great frontier, and I intend to conquer it." He was getting closer. I could feel the wrongness radiating off him, the hunger. This wasn't the man I'd thought I knew. This was something else, something inhuman wearing Ethan's face. "What are you?" I whispered. His smile widened, revealing too many teeth. "I'm the future, the next step in human evolution, and you, my dear, are going to help me take that step." He reached out to grab me, his hands morphing into claws. I screamed, throwing up my arms to protect myself, and somehow, miraculously, I woke up. I was in my bed, drenched in sweat, my heart pounding. For a moment, I thought it had all been a nightmare. But then I saw the scratches on my arms, right where Ethan had tried to grab me. This was real. All of it was real. I didn't think twice. I threw some clothes and essentials into a bag and ran. I drove all night, putting as much distance between myself and Ethan as I could. But even as the miles rolled by, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched, that somewhere, in the realm of dreams, Ethan was searching for me. It's been a week since then. I'm in a motel now, too afraid to sleep for more than an hour or two at a time. I've seen news reports about people falling into unexplained comas, their brains showing unprecedented levels of activity despite their unconscious state. I know it's him. I know he's hunting. I don't know what to do. I can't go to the police. Who would believe me? I can't run forever, and I'm terrified that the next time I fall asleep, I won't be able to wake up. That I'll find myself back in that room of stolen minds, becoming just another battery in Ethan's sick machine. So I'm reaching out to you, Reddit. I know this sounds crazy. I know most of you will think I'm making this up or that I'm having some kind of psychotic break, but on the off chance that someone out there has seen something similar, has experienced something like this, please reach out. I need help. I need to know I'm not alone. And if you're reading this and you have dreams of a man with black eyes, of a room full of floating bodies and a machine that feeds on minds, wake up. Wake up now. Run. Before it's too late. Because in this new world I've stumbled into, sleep isn't just the cousin of death. It's the gateway to something far, far worse.